Just last season, the Detroit Pistons were the NBA's ultimate punchline. Finishing with a brutal 14-68 record, they owned the league's worst mark. Even worse, they dropped 28 straight games, setting the record for the longest single-season losing streak in NBA history. The Detroit Pistons were an absolute disaster just a season ago. The locker room was broken, the coaching staff looked clueless, and the team became the butt of every NBA joke online. With a 14-68 record and a historically awful 28-game losing streak, they weren't just bad, they were unwatchable. But fast forward to today, and something almost unthinkable has happened. The Pistons just pulled off a turnaround the NBA has never seen in its 78-year history. After missing the playoffs for 5 straight years, not only did Detroit return to the postseason, they tripled their win total from last season. In a league where rebuilds typically take 5 to 7 years, and where star-studded alliances usually dictate success, the worst team in basketball suddenly transformed into a legitimate playoff threat in just one season. That leaves everyone asking, is this just a feel-good fluke before another trip back to the lottery? Or are the Pistons a real contender the rest of the NBA needs to start respecting? Basketball history has given us legendary teams who defined eras. The 2015-16 Warriors, the 1995-96 Bulls, the 2024-25 Thunder. Teams so great they became larger than life. But history has also given us the complete opposite. Seasons so awful they became unforgettable. The 1972-73 Sixers, the 2015-16 Sixers, the 1992-93 Mavericks, and of course, the 2023-24 Pistons. A season so dysfunctional it set a new standard for failure. 14 wins, 68 losses, the worst record in franchise history, and one of the most embarrassing campaigns in NBA history. Would you like me to make this more documentary-style serious or more hype YouTube narration?
Gilly into the lane. Durant's on him. Gillian through the lane. Tries to fire from the right.
The Pistons season wasn't just bad, it was historically ugly. They endured a 28-game losing streak, the longest single-season skid in NBA history, going 2 straight months without a single win. And the reasons behind that collapse were painfully clear. Detroit lacked any real identity, built on a roster full of failed gambles and ill-fitting pieces. Much of the blame fell on general manager Troy Weaver, who continually mismanaged the team's assets. Instead of using cap space to acquire impactful players, he absorbed veterans like Joe Harris and Alec Burks, guys who added nothing meaningful on the court. The result? A roster filled with non-shooters, horrendous spacing, and an offense that never found rhythm. The Pistons were so mismatched that even former lottery big men James Wiseman and Marvin Bagley III, both once seen as future cornerstones, turned out to be complete busts. Their only real promise came from Cade Cunningham and Jalen Duren, but the two couldn't even stay healthy long enough to develop chemistry. Then came head coach Monty Williams, brought in on a record-breaking $78 million contract. Instead of stabilizing things, he seemed out of touch with the locker room. He benched Jaden Ivey, one of Detroit's brightest young talents, leaned on bizarre tactical choices, shuffled through 36 different starting lineups, and consistently played one of the league's worst benches. The result was a team in chaos, a franchise defined by dysfunction, and a season that spiraled into one of the ugliest campaigns basketball has ever seen. The Pistons couldn't find a spark, even as their season unraveled into a 28-game losing streak. At one point, Detroit fans weren't counting wins anymore, they were counting losses. It wasn't just bad basketball, it was hopeless basketball. What unfolded was the perfect storm. A mismatched coach leading a mismatched roster, overseen by an overmatched executive. Before long, attendance plummeted. The team was booed on their own floor, and even opposing players were clowning them on social media. The Pistons weren't just a struggling team, they were a full-blown punchline across the league. So, what changed? That answer starts with one of the boldest off-season resets the NBA has seen in years. Recovering from the worst season in franchise history meant making real sacrifices. The first domino was firing general manager Troy Weaver. But the shocker came next. The Pistons pulled the plug on Monty Williams after just one season, despite him still being owed 5 years and $65 million of his massive $78.5 million contract. It was a gutsy move, but one that sent an unmistakable message to the players and fan base. Business as usual was over. To lead the new era, Detroit hired Trajan Langdon, a respected executive with over a decade of front office and scouting experience. Langdon didn't arrive with empty promises of miracles. Instead, he laid out a vision of culture change, discipline, and stability, while stressing the importance of turning process into results. And he wasted no time. His focus was simple: build on the foundation of young talent the Pistons already had, but surround it with sharper, smarter pieces that could actually compete.
Got the pass, drive, sets up, steal,
Langdon's first major move was bringing in J.B. Bickerstaff, recently dismissed by the Cleveland Cavaliers after a second-round playoff exit. What stood out to Langdon was Bickerstaff's reputation as a no-nonsense leader, someone who could finally give Detroit what it had been missing: an identity and clearly defined roles. Then came the roster shakeup. Just days later, the Pistons traded for Tim Hardaway Jr., a proven floor spacer fresh off helping the Dallas Mavericks reach the 2024 NBA Finals. That same day, they landed Malik Beasley on a 1-year, $6 million deal after his strong season with the Milwaukee Bucks, where he drilled 41.3% of his threes on nearly 7 attempts per game. 2 days after that, Detroit struck again, signing veteran forward Tobias Harris, who was eager for a reset following a rough playoff run with the Philadelphia 76ers. And to put the finishing touches on their rapid transformation, the Pistons used the number 5 overall pick in the NBA draft to select Ron Holland of the G League Ignite, a clear signal of their commitment to building a long-term core. When the season tipped off, the results were immediate. Detroit jumped out to a 10-6 start, then hit another gear around the All-Star break, rattling off an 8-game win streak with dominant wins over both the Clippers and Celtics. It marked their longest streak since 2008 and vaulted them into the East's top 6. By season's end, the Pistons had done the unthinkable. They finished 44-38, locking up the 6th seed in the East. That wasn't just a bounce back, it was a 30-win improvement, the biggest ever for a team coming off fewer than 20 wins the year before. In fact, Detroit became the first franchise in NBA history to triple its win total from one season to the next in an 82-game schedule. And the wildest part? Every offseason move clicked. Tobias Harris thrived in his role as a steady veteran mentor while still chipping in 14 points and 6 rebounds per game. Tim Hardaway Jr. gave them reliable floor spacing, knocking down 37% from deep while averaging 11 points. Malik Beasley exploded as a sharpshooter, pouring in 16 a night and shattering the franchise record with 292 made threes. But as valuable as those vets were, the real catalyst came from the young core, led by Cade Cunningham. The former number 1 pick blossomed into a legitimate star, making one of the biggest leaps in the league. He put up 26.1 points, 6.1 rebounds, and 9.1 assists per game, while also adding a steal and nearly a block each night. His efficiency skyrocketed, with shooting splits of 47% from the field, 36% from 3, and 85% from the line. It was a season of career highs across the board, including scoring, playmaking, and efficiency. Only 2 players in the league, Cunningham and Nikola Jokic, averaged at least 26 points and 9 assists.
Cade gets to the paint, gets to the rim, flucks it!
Cade Cunningham's breakout season cemented him as the face of the franchise. He finished 3rd in Most Improved Player voting, earned his first All-Star nod, and claimed a spot on an All-NBA team. But more important than the accolades, Cade proved he could be the leader Detroit has been searching for, a legitimate superstar capable of carrying the Pistons into a new era. And while Cunningham was the engine, Detroit's young core made huge strides of their own. Ozar Thompson returned from last year's blood clot scare and gradually fought his way back into the rotation. When Jaden Ivey went down with a season-ending injury, Thompson stepped into the starting lineup and never looked back. He averaged 10 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists per game, while also being one of Detroit's most disruptive defenders, posting nearly 2 steals and a block a night. With his athleticism and natural instincts, Thompson showed flashes of becoming the team's most dynamic two-way player. Meanwhile, Jalen Duren continued to grow as Detroit's anchor in the middle. In just his second season, he averaged a double-double with 12 points and 10 rebounds per game, all while shooting a blistering 69% from the field. Already an elite lob threat in the pick-and-roll, Duren also showed real progress as a passer and rim protector, proving he's only scratching the surface of his potential. Isaiah Stewart also flourished after finally settling into his natural role as the first big off the bench. In limited minutes, he gave Detroit elite rim protection, swatting away 1.5 shots per game while showing the versatility to switch onto guards on the perimeter. He may not light up the box score, but his defensive presence was crucial in stabilizing the Pistons' second unit. And then there was Jaden Ivey. Before a fractured leg cut his season short, the young guard was having a breakout campaign of his own, averaging 17 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists per game on efficient shooting splits. He was hitting 41% from 3, looking far more comfortable next to Cunningham in the backcourt. With Bickerstaff staggering their minutes, Ivey also ran the second unit with poise, giving Detroit a versatile weapon who had truly begun to come into his own.
Thompson, Jaden Ivey to the basket, leading scoop.
Sliding into a backup point guard role, Jaden Ivey didn't miss a beat. Though he only appeared in 30 games before his injury, he was second on the team in scoring during that stretch and ranked second in three-point percentage among rotation players. His growth, along with the rest of Detroit's young core, gave the Pistons more than just depth. They provided the backbone of a hungry, competitive roster capable of battling on both ends of the floor. Coming off their first playoff appearance in 6 years, and with fans desperate for more postseason success, Trajan Langdon emphasized that continuity would be the key to building on last season. But the offseason didn't go quite as planned. Detroit lost nearly all of the veteran pieces that fueled their historic turnaround. Tim Hardaway Jr. and Malik Beasley were both gone, leaving Tobias Harris as the lone holdover, unless you count Paul Reed, in a stretch. Instead of scrambling, Langdon and his front office stayed disciplined. The philosophy remained the same: surround Cade Cunningham and the young core with veterans who could shoot, stretch the floor, and fit seamlessly into the system. Their first big addition was Caris LeVert, a 6 feet 6 inches wing who checked all the boxes. With defensive versatility, length on the perimeter, and just enough offensive punch, LeVert proved to be a clean fit. Last season, splitting time between Cleveland and Atlanta, he averaged 12 points, 3 assists, and 3 rebounds per game, while hitting 37% of his threes on solid volume.
Harris goes up, scores! At the buzzer!
Caris LeVert has never shared the floor with a true playmaker like Cade Cunningham, and that alone could unlock a level of efficiency we haven't seen from him before. His biggest value lies in his versatility as a scorer. Last season, he recorded a career-best 58% true shooting, with nearly a third of his attempts coming at the rim, while shooting 47% from 3 and over 40% from mid-range. Though not a traditional point guard, LeVert has steadily developed into a capable secondary playmaker, able to create shots for others when defenses collapse on Cade. That dual threat allows him to replicate elements of Malik Beasley's perimeter shooting, while also keeping Detroit's offense afloat in bench-heavy lineups alongside Ron Holland and Ozar Thompson. But as impactful as LeVert could be, the signing with the highest upside swing might be Duncan Robinson. Losing proven snipers like Hardaway Jr. and Beasley seemed like a step back, yet the Pistons may have landed an even more dangerous specialist. Since breaking into the league in 2018, Robinson has been among the NBA's elite long-range threats. Early in his career, he was almost exclusively a perimeter shooter, with 80 to 88% of his attempts coming from beyond the arc. Over time, he's added wrinkles as a ball handler and occasional driver, but his calling card is still his shooting gravity. Since 2018, only 9 qualified players have averaged at least 7 three-point attempts per game, while hitting 39% or better, and Robinson is firmly on that list.